She tried to escape at 3 a.m., but the little girl gripped her hand. "Don't leave us alone forever." The clock blinked 3 a.m. in the darkened room, eerily echoing the stillness that wrapped around Jenna like a haunted blanket. Moonlight slashed through the cracks of the boarded-up windows, casting twisted shadows that danced along the walls. Each creak of the floor sent chills racing down her spine. It was an hour of nightmares, a time when whispers turned to shouts, and fear seeped into the bones. "I have to get out," she muttered under her breath, a desperate plea to herself. But just as she turned toward the door, a soft touch gripped her wrist. Jenna spun around, heart pounding like a drum. Standing there, eyes wide, was a little girl. Her hair fell in tangled curls around a face that seemed almost luminous against the darkness. "Don't leave us alone forever," the girl whispered, her voice as fragile as a spider's web. There was something unsettlingly sweet about her. It was as if she was both innocent and held the weight of the world. The air felt electric, charged with a mystery that sent shivers straight to Jenna's core. Who was this child? Why was she here? The girl reminded her of a painting, vibrant yet haunting, standing in stark contrast to the dull, claustrophobic room. Shadows flickered in Jenna's peripheral vision, making her doubt her senses. Was that a movement behind her? A flash of white? The past few days with the others, the whispers, the strange noises at night were catching up with her like a relentless tide. She had to keep it together, to find a way out. But the girl's eyes held her captive, wide and pleading, as bright as stars in a pitch-black sky. Just a few steps away, the door loomed like a promise of freedom. Yet, something deep inside her warned against walking through it. In that moment, Jenna felt trapped not just by the worn walls of the old house but by the weight of the girl's unspoken desire. The world outside might have been dangerous, but this child had a grip on her heart that was unmistakable. Who are you?" Jenna finally managed, voice trembling. The girl blinked slowly, and a hesitation flickered across her face like a shadow before twilight. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Jenna's gaze darted around the room, now awash in a dizzying fear. The walls seemed to close in, echoing with ghostly murmurs. "You shouldn't be here." Jenna's voice faltered, each breath scraping against the dry air. The little girl's grip tightened. "Please, don't leave." Suddenly, a loud bang echoed from the other room, sending them both jumping. The silence that followed felt more suffocating than ever. The girl's grip was like iron, both comforting and terrifying. A pit formed in Jenna's stomach. Was it just jolting fear, or was there something lurking in the shadows? The air thickened with tension, and as she stared into the girl's earnest eyes, Jenna realized this was only the beginning. What happened if she left? Would the girl remain there alone? In that chaotic blend of emotions, Jenna felt trapped. She was now in a corner, not just of the house, but of her mind. A cloud of dread loomed over her choices. Could she really abandon this strange child, or was the danger that lingered outside the door something worse than what lay within? She closed her eyes, feeling the little girl's confusion and urgency tighten around her heart. Would she ever find a way out, or was she destined to share the same fate as the girl? Her escape plan faded into the haze as the shadows closed in. What happens next? The air felt charged, like a brewing storm ready to explode. Jenna's heart thundered in her chest, her instincts screaming at her to flee, yet she was rooted in place by the little girl's desperate plea. The world outside the door loomed larger and darker, threatening to swallow her whole if she stepped through. Another crash echoed from the depths of the house. This time, it was accompanied by a low, guttural sound that sent goosebumps racing across Jenna's arms. "Stay close," she whispered, a flicker of protectiveness igniting within her as she pulled the girl nearer, the warmth of her body a small comfort in the freezing dread that enveloped them. The little girl didn't need to be told twice. She nestled against Jenna, her small frame trembling. "They can't find you. Not again." The girl's voice cracked like porcelain, breaking under the weight of untold fears. Jenna's brow furrowed, a question poised on the tip of her tongue, but fear enveloped her, muffling her curiosity. Who were they? A flicker of light danced down the hallway beyond them, illuminating the edges of the shadows. Jenna squinted, trying to focus through her panic. Whatever was there, it moved with purpose, a dark entity born from the depths of her nightmares. Her body screamed for her to bolt, but she couldn't. Not with this child in her arms. "What do we do?" she urged, adrenaline spiking. "Hide," the girl urged back, her voice barely above a whisper, but it was unyielding. Jenna's mind raced as the sound of footsteps approached. Heavy, deliberate, like a predator stalking its prey. They had to act fast. Jenna spared a glance at the grimy corners of the room and spotted an old wardrobe, its door slightly ajar as if inviting them into its dark depths. She took a steadying breath, gripping the girl's tiny hand. "We need to go in there, okay?" "Okay, but will it keep us safe?" The girl replied, her eyes round with fear. "Just for now," Jenna said, convincing herself as much as the girl. The wardrobe smelled of dust and decay, but it was better than the gnawing uncertainty of the shadowy hallway. They slipped inside, and the wooden door creaked ominously as Jenna pulled it shut, plunging them into darkness. The closeness felt suffocating. She could hear the girl's breathing, rapid and shallow, mirroring her own. "You're safe," Jenna whispered, though her voice trembled. Outside, the footsteps grew louder, a heavy presence that felt all-consuming. Jenna's heart raced as she fought the urge to push against the door. "What is out there?" she wondered, an anxiety twisting her insides. "The others," came the girl's whisper, soft as a moth's wing. "They take." An icy shiver crawled down Jenna's spine. "Take what?" But the girl's eyes widened, signaling her to stay quiet. Jenna's heart beat erratically, an urgent warning not to provoke whatever lurked beyond the wardrobe. As the footsteps paused, an unnerving silence settled. Then, harsh whispers edged into the night, voices like jagged glass cutting through the stillness. "They are here," one breathed. Jenna felt panic rise like bile in her throat. What did that mean? "Don't let them near you," the girl urged, wide eyes reflecting the glint of moonlight seeping through a crack. There was urgency in her tone that Jenna couldn't shake. What had they stumbled into? Were these others the very reason Jenna had been running in the first place? Suddenly, the wardrobe rattled, a finger brushing against the wood, cold and intent. "What do you want?" Jenna dared to utter, heart racing. A pause, then a heavy breath low and resonant. "Join us in the bordering silence," Jenna's resolve hardened. She wouldn't become another lost soul in a haunted maze. Lifting her chin, she glimpsed at the girl, her fierce spirit reigniting. "We can find a way out." But as if in response, the wardrobe suddenly jolted open with a force that sent them tumbling forward into the dim light of the room, the shadows waiting eagerly, hungry for their next move. "Run!" Jenna shouted, grabbing the girl's hand tightly as they bolted toward the door. But would they escape the grasp of the lurking darkness, or was this moment only a prelude to their deepest fears? The night was far from over. The moment they hit the floor, time seemed to stretch. Jenna's heart pounded as she and the girl scrambled to their feet. The shadows around them grew thicker, curling like fingers reaching for their skin. An echoing laugh reverberated through the air, a twisted melody that sent a wave of ice down Jenna's spine. "Don't look back," Jenna gasped, yanking the girl along. They dashed across the room, its corners brimming with gloom, enveloping them like a thick fog. Every footfall sounded louder than the last, a booming reminder of the danger lurking behind them. They reached the door, but the knob slipped against her palm. Locked. Jenna pressed her ear against the wood, listening for the sounds of pursuit. There was nothing but silence, deep and muffled, the kind that made her stomach churn. What now? She whispered, desperation clawing at her thoughts. There's another way. The girl said urgently, pointing to a small window high above the dilapidated wall. It was covered in grime, but through the murk, moonlight shimmered a beacon of hope. Jenna's eyes widened as she scanned the room for anything to help. Can you climb? She asked, her heart racing, knowing how likely the answer might be. I can try, the girl replied, determination sparking in her hazel eyes. Okay, let us move, Jenna urged, rushing to a rickety chair in the corner. She shoved it towards the wall beneath the window, the wood creaking ominously as if warning them against the impending rush of uncertainty. Climb on, Jenna said, boosting the girl up as she stepped on the chair. With trembling hands, the girl gripped the sill, her tiny body straining against the effort. Jenna's heart sank as she watched the shadows flicker and sway behind them. More whispers, more laughter mocking. Don't look down. Jenna called, pressing her palms against the wall, heart urging her forward, trying to drown out the rising tide of panic. Just push. The girl kicked her legs, scrabbling for purchase, and finally managed to hoist her body up, disappearing through the gaping window. I did it! She exclaimed from the other side, her voice a burst of brightness in the shrouded room. Now, help me. Without waiting, Jenna leaped on the chair, her hands gripping the edge of the window. Just as she was about to shove herself through, the door behind them exploded open. Cold claws of dread clutched her as she locked eyes with a figure standing in the doorway, its form cloaked in shadows, its presence suffocating. Jenna felt the world freeze. The creature, a twisted amalgamation of dark shapes and piercing eyes, took a step forward. Its breath came out like a low growl, echoing the very fears she had tried to outrun. Leave. Now it hissed, voice like gravel scraping stone. No. Jenna. The girl's voice broke through, urging her. You have to get out. Jenna's mind raced, every nerve in her body screamed to flee, yet she found herself frozen, caught between terror and the instinct to protect. I can't leave you. She shouted back, feeling a tug of anguish that turned her stomach, but the girl's eyes were resolute. You have to trust me. I want to let them take me. Just go. Join us. The creature's voice grew into a sinister chorus, reverberating with malice. Tendrils of shadow spiraled toward Jenna, as if trying to snatch her back into the abyss. Panic surged through her. The girl was right. Jenna swiveled, hoisting herself onto the ledge as the darkness lunged, embodying all her fears. Jump. Now. Jenna leaped, edging her body through the opening just as a frigid grip clawed at her ankle. Pain lanced through her skin, but the pull of the girl's safe embrace on the other side tugged her forward. She spilled out of the window and landed hard on the ground below. Not alone, but together, both alive and breathing, they lay in the cool grass, gasping for air, hearts throbbing in unison. Shadows darted drastically in the corners of her vision, but they were still here together. Then, the stillness shattered. A rumbling roar echoed through the night. You can't hide, we'll find you. Jenna shot up, pulling the girl to her feet. We need to run. We can't let them follow. As they dashed away from the house, Jenna felt an unsettling chill grip her heart. The night was merciless, and they were just beginning to unearth the depth of the darkness pursuing them. What had they really awoken in that cursed place? The shadows loomed ever closer behind them, insistent and relentless. Where do we go now? The girl panted. Jenna hesitated, her mind racing as flashes of the house flooded back. We need to find shelter, something safe. But, I don't know where. The shadows grew thicker, engulfing them. What if this was just the beginning of something far worse? She could feel the weight of their past closing in. Suddenly, a flicker caught her attention from the trees ahead, a glimmer of hope or another trap. Through the woods. She shouted, navigating toward the splintering light ahead, holding her breath. But just ahead, from the gloom, emerged another figure. And with that, Jenna's world spiraled deeper into darkness. What awaited them was a truth more haunting than the night itself. The figure stepped into the light, and Jenna's heart dropped like a stone. It was a boy, maybe a little older than them, his eyes wide and wild, hair disheveled and dirty. Fear rippled through his frame, but there was something else too, something she couldn't quite place, a lingering desperation that mirrored their own. "Who are you?" Jenna shouted, instinctively pulling the girl behind her. "Please," he gasped, dropping to his knees, "you have to help me. They're coming." Jenna exchanged a quick glance with the girl. They were all in this nightmare together now, but what if this boy was merely bait? She felt the shadows creeping closer again, the air thickening with a palpable dread. "What do you mean?" The words tumbled out of Jenna's mouth, but inside, her pulse raced. The boy swallowed hard, stained lips trembling. "They'll take you too if you stay. You don't understand, they're not just shadows." The night had become an echo chamber for his pleas, his eyes darting to the woods, a trance of fear locked in his gaze. Jenna stepped forward cautiously, studying him. "What do you mean, not just shadows? Who are they?" They're memories. Bad ones. They come alive at night, trying to pull you into their world." He shook his head nervously. "You have to trust me. There's a place, an old cabin deep in the woods. If we can reach it, we might be safe." Jenna felt a fierce tug of urgency. "You expect us to believe you? Look, we don't have time. They'll be on us in seconds, that's what they want." He interrupted, rising to his feet now. "You have to move. If you stand still, they'll feast on your fear." The shadows had diversified, twisting and transforming, darker than before, and it was as if they were aware of the conversation. Jenna could sense them, feeling hungry, waiting. "Then let us go," she said, grabbing the girl's hand, pulling her forward. "Lead the way." They plunged into the woods, branches snagging at their clothes, the ground slick with slippery leaves. Jenna's heart thundered, matching the frantic rhythm of their feet pounding against the earth. Behind them, the boy raced to keep up, the darkness trailing close. "How far is the cabin?" Jenna yelled, breath hitching in her throat as branches flailed against her arms. "Not far. Just keep going," he shouted back, glancing over his shoulder. "Don't look back, whatever you do." But with every step deeper into the wooded maze, Jenna felt the siren call of the shadows behind them, wrapping around her like thick smoke. They hungered, panting for the moment she would glance back. Fear gripped her insides like a vice, squeezing tighter. "We need to hurry." She pushed, adrenaline coursing through her veins, instinct screaming that doubt would cost them dearly. The ground suddenly dipped, leading to a small clearing, a dim light flickering through the thick trees. Relief rushed through Jenna, hope igniting in her heart as they stumbled upon what looked like an old cabin. "Here!" the boy shouted, bounding ahead like a lifeline. As they drew closer, Jenna could see the door hanging at an odd angle, dark and foreboding. "Is it safe?" the girl whispered, fear coating her voice, desperately searching Jenna's expression for reassurance. "Only one way to find out," Jenna replied, already grasping the doorknob. Before she could twist it, a sinister whisper floated through the air, wrapping around her mind. You can't escape. The shadows converged at the edge of the clearing, silhouettes merging into a spectral wall. Jenna stood frozen, heart threatening to jump right out of her chest. "Inside. Now," the boy urged, practically shoving her through the door. They stumbled inside, breathless and shaking as the door slammed shut on its own. The shadows pounded against the wood, an echoing percussion growing more furious, more relentless. Jenna leaned against the door, chest heaving, but all she could hear was the whispered chime of her own racing thoughts. What would happen now? How long would they hold off the darkness? Then, she noticed something, a dark shape coiled in the corner of the room, breathing low and rhythmic. Like a lurking predator and deep within the shadows, she saw eyes begin to open. Jenna swallowed hard, a lump forming in her throat. What is that? The boy met her eyes, terror etched across his features. That's what we've been running from. It's not over. Suddenly, behind them, the shadows dissolved into a humanoid shape, advancing slowly, promise of malevolence dancing on its darkened edges. What do we do? The girl whispered, clutching Jenna's arm, a fragile tremble weaving through her tiny frame. But deep down, Jenna knew their survival hinged on one choice. Would they face the unknown and fight back, or would they let the darkness dictate their fate once more? The air thickened, and the shadows whispered louder than ever, "Join us, join us." Jenna felt the cool grip of dread tighten around her, but pushing that fear away, she whispered, "We stand together. No matter what." But what was that darkness planning? What lay ahead in the depths of the cabin? The truth was yet to surface. And in that charged moment, they all waited, hearts pounding, as the shadows closed their grip. The darkness inched closer, an eager predator, and all Jenna could feel was an ice-cold breath of fear creeping up her spine. The shadows shifted restlessly, their whispers wrapping around her like chains, demanding her surrender. The boy's eyes widened, flickering from the unseen horror in the corner to the encroaching shadows at the door. "We have to find a way out," he gasped, but the desperation in his voice betrayed his own uncertainty. "Can't we just grab something for protection?" The girl's voice was small, trembling, as she scanned the room. Jenna's heart ached for her. A child shouldn't have to face this kind of terror. Jenna's gaze swept the dim cabin, searching for anything she could use. Old tools, rotten furniture, nothing looked promising. "There has to be something," she cried, her breath coming in short gasps. Suddenly, a heavy silence blanketed them, thick and suffocating. The shadows paused, seemingly drawn into the very fabric of the cabin. But that brief reprieve didn't last. The creature in the corner stirred, stretching its body like a dark cat poised to pounce. It was the eyes that terrified her the most, two glowing orbs fixing on them, drinking in their fear. "Don't engage it," the boy warned, pulling Jenna and the girl back. "It feeds off our fear, remember?" It took all Jenna had not to scream, but the urge simmered beneath her skin. Instead, she held her breath and thought fast. "What did you mean earlier?" she asked the boy. "What doesn't it want us to understand?" "Memories," he said, gripping her shoulders with urgency. "It wants to use our memories against us. If it can show us our worst fears, we won't stand a chance. Then we can't let it." Jenna's determination flared. "We have to stay focused. If we face our fears together, maybe we can break its hold on us." But the boy's face stirred with doubt. "What if it shows us things too horrible to bear?" A sudden crash at the window made them all jump. The walls trembled, as if the cabin itself was alive, groaning under the weight of dread coiling in their hearts. "We can't wait here," Jenna said, sparking a sense of urgency. "We need a plan. There must be a way to banish it." But nebulous shapes swirled around the room as if in response to her defiance. Shadows extended and elongated, forming a cacophony of limbs that beckoned to Jenna, brushing against her skin, laced with icy fingers that sent shivers racing down her spine. "Join us," Jenna felt her resolve falter, a wave of memories crashing over her, a friend's betrayal, a family lost. She squeezed her eyes shut, pushing the visions away. "No. Not now." The little girl beside her wailed softly, and that broke something inside Jenna. "Don't give in. We're not alone. Remember that." She pulled the girl close while taking a deep breath. "Look around. We can do this together. The boy met her fierce gaze, and though his face was drawn tight with fear, he nodded. "Together," he echoed, a flicker of hope igniting in his eyes. With the shadows surging all around them, they formed a circle, clinging to each other's hands. Jenna could feel the warmth of their bodies, a barrier against the creeping dread. "On three," Jenna murmured, her voice steady even as the darkness whispered horrible things in her ear. 1, 2, 3. They stepped towards the creature, leaning into the fear, pushing back the tidal wave of memories threatening to swallow them whole. The thing hissed, recoiling momentarily as their combined strength surged forward. "What do you want?" Jenna shouted, forcing the words through a tight throat. "Your memories, your fears, your essence," it whispered, but something had shifted. They were not just prey anymore, they were warriors fighting back against the night. Suddenly, light flickered from an ancient lantern hanging limply in the corner. "Come on!" the boy shouted, jabbing a finger towards it. That might be the key to banishing the shadows. But as they moved towards the light, the shadows erupted into chaotic whispers, clashing sounds swirling around the room like a tempest. "Wait!" the girl cried, staring deep into the shadows that had now congealed into a mass at the cabin's entrance, blocking their exit. "What if we can't reach it?" Jenna's heart raced at the glimpse of despair flickering across the little girl's face. "We can. We won't give up." But time was running out, and the darkness was converging fast. Would they reach the light before the shadows swallowed them whole? As the shadows howled and bent closer, the air thick with their chilling grasp, Jenna took a deep breath. "On my count we run for it." And just then, an ominous chant filled the cabin, unraveling the last thread of calm as the shadows lunged toward them. In that moment of dread, Jenna wondered if they could truly outpace the darkness or if it would finally claim them. The answer hung in the air, unspoken yet palpable. "Ready?" she breathed, her heart in her throat, knowing they had to try, but uncertainty gnawed at her spirit. And as they prepared, a single shadow broke free from the mass, coiling toward her with a haunting whisper. You can never escape. What awaited them next in that cursed cabin remained uncertain. But one thing was clear: Jenna would fight until her last breath. Would it be enough to face the nightmares that waited in the dark? The air became electric, thrumming with an urgency that merged their pulse with the rhythm of the encroaching shadows. Each heartbeat thundered in Jenna's ears as she faced the looming darkness, her instincts screaming for her to flee, yet the warmth of the girl's hand steadied her. She caught a glimpse of determination reflected in the boy's eyes, fueling her own resolve. "Go," she shouted, feeling the world narrow to the flickering light, their only hope. Now. With a sudden surge, they propelled forward, their feet pounding against the wooden floor as shadows lashed out at them like whips. Whispers tangled around them, and Jenna could almost hear her name mingled in the chorus of voices. Jenna. The cabin's floor felt slick beneath their feet, as if it was trying to pull them back into the abyss. The lantern's glow flickered once more, illuminating a path through the darkness that was rapidly consuming every inch of the cabin. "Don't look back. Just run," she yelled, dragging the others with her. Each step felt like a battle against a grip that wanted to draw them into the depths of despair. Jenna's heart raced, driven by a primal instinct to survive. She could almost grasp the tendrils of the shadows, their cold fingers brushing against her skin, nearly pulling her down. They reached the lantern just as the shadows lunged at them, mouths formed from darkness opening wide in a roar that cackled with malevolence. Jenna lunged forward, her hand wrapping around the lantern's cool base. She lifted it high, and the light surged brighter, as if it recognized the power of their unity. "It's working!" the boy gasped, eyes wide with shock. "Not yet, we have to," but Jenna was cut off as the shadows reeled back, hissing like snakes disoriented by the light. As they pulsed with power, the whispers turned frantic. "You cannot escape, you are ours." They shrieked, the words sharp and slicing, as if promising the dark secrets they'd been trying to forget. "Focus!" Jenna shouted. "Shadows are nothing without our fear. Remember why we're fighting." The girl's face brightened. "We just need to believe," she cried, her courage igniting like a match struck against the darkness. Jenna nodded, feeling the warmth of unity surge through them. Taking a deep breath, she closed her eyes, summoning the memories that empowered her: the laughter of friends, the summer sun, a moment of hope when she thought all was lost. "Together," she whispered, opening her eyes. The lantern glowed brighter, casting golden beams that sliced through the shadows like a blade. The boy and girl mirrored her resolve, channeling their own memories, their innocence, their desires to be free from the shackles of fear. Together, they began to chant, voices rising above the dreadful chorus. "We are not afraid." The shadows writhed, shrieking as if distressed by their defiance. Jeering laughter echoed around them, suffocating their strength. For every inch they gained, the darkness retaliated, clawing for the light, clawing for them. But then they noticed a crack in the cabin's wall, pulsing with light, a sliver of hope. Freedom. It beckoned. To the light. Jenna yelled, and they sprinted toward it, terror charging behind them like a frenzied beast. Just as they reached the crack, the shadows lunged one last time, a clawed tendril reaching for the girl's ankle. Jenna grabbed her just in time, yanking her free as the dark fingers scraped against her arm, leaving icy trails that burned. "Hold on!" the boy shouted, but their escape wasn't guaranteed. Jenna could feel the darkness pressing against her back, a crushing sensation that weighed down her heart. As they squeezed through the crack, Jenna's body screamed with a mix of adrenaline and terror, the shadows screeching in a cacophony of rage. The night seemed to darken itself further, promising vengeance. Finally, they tumbled out into the open air, the cold night wrapping around them like a damp shroud. But the moment of relief was short-lived. Jenna whipped around. The crack closed behind them with a bone-chilling snap, the darkness retreating to itself, yet its whispers lingered in the air, taunting. "You think you've escaped? You can never leave your fears behind." Gasping for breath, Jenna felt the weight of shadows still hovering near. They had bolstered a small victory, but the night was far from over. "What now?" the girl whispered, her voice trembling as they huddled together beneath the stars, breaths mingling like lost souls searching for safety. Before Jenna could answer, a figure emerged from the shadows surrounding the cabin, tall and indistinct, an echo of fear personified, eyes glinting with the promise of torment. Who are you?" she stuttered, dread twisting in her stomach as the figure took a step closer, smirking in a way that froze the blood in her veins. The primal urge to run clamored within her, but this time they were out in the open, and the shadows followed closely. What awaited them in this unknown world remained uncertain, but one thing was clear: if they were to survive the darkness, the real reckoning was just beginning. A heavy silence enveloped them, stifling their voices and muffling the sounds of the night. Jenna's heart pounded against her ribs, each thud echoing the dread that clawed at her insides. The figure before them stepped closer, revealing a face twisted in a cruel grin, eyes sharp as daggers glinting in the moonlight. "You're not free yet," it whispered, the words curling around them like smoke, wrapping them in an unbearable chill. The girl beside Jenna shuddered, squeezing her hand tighter. "What do you want from us?" she managed, her voice quaking. "Want?" the figure echoed, waving a hand dismissively. "You misunderstand. It's not about what I want. It's about what you're willing to give up to keep your precious light." Jenna could feel her throat tightening. "What do you mean?" The figure leaned in, its breath cold against her skin. "Fear is a powerful thing, and you've brought it here, haven't you? You think you can outrun it? Think again." From behind, the shadows gathered, swirling like a tempest, their whispers growing louder, mocking, cackling with manic glee. "Join us, embrace your fear," panic surged through Jenna like a wildfire. "No. We won she shouted, her voice ringing with defiance. Yet even as she spoke, she felt the tendrils of doubt creep into her mind. What if the darkness was right? What if they were forever tied to their fears? The boy stepped forward, the lantern still clutched tightly in his grasp. "We have the light. It weakens you," he yelled, his voice breaking the tension. The figure laughed, a low, guttural sound that vibrated deep within the earth. "Light? You think a flickering flame can conquer the void? Without your belief, the light is nothing." More echoes spread from the shadows, resonating with Jenna's guilt and regrets, dredging up memories she wished to bury. Faces of loved ones lost flashed before her eyes, cautioning glances, fading laughter. She staggered, faltering as the weight of her failures pressed down. "Jenna," the girl shouted, snapping her back to the moment. "Hold on. Remember why we're here." With that, a spark ignited in Jenna, battling against the encroaching darkness. She willed herself to remember, the warmth of friendship, moments of joy, and fleeting glances of hope. The memories came rushing back, filling the cracks in her heart. "Together," Jenna said, her voice steadier. "We've got to hold on together." They formed a tight circle, the lantern raised high amidst the shadows. "We are not afraid," they shouted, voices uniting into a powerful chorus that pushed back against the darkness. But the figure merely smirked, unfazed. "So brave, but bravery without knowledge is foolishness. You have no idea what lies beyond the veil of this night." In that instant, the ground trembled beneath them, the reality of their situation sinking in. The shadows surged forward, a wave of darkness washing over them, but they stood, rooted by their shared light and the promise of defiance. Suddenly, through the chaos, a faint shimmer caught Jenna's eye. The crack that had led them here flickered once more, now radiating an all-consuming light. It pulsed like a heartbeat, inviting yet foreboding, as if revealing secrets waiting to be uncovered. "Run for it!" Jenna shouted, pointing toward the glimmer. But doubts clawed at her mind. Was this their salvation or a deeper trap? "Don't chase the light blindly." The figure boomed, as its form shifted like a wisp of smoke. "Sometimes, the darkest path leads you home." Jenna's mind raced. The shadows lunged, clawing for them, the whispers escalating into a deafening crescendo. "What do we do?" she yelled over the chaos. "Trust each other." The boy called back, fear mixing with resolve. They took a collective breath, hearts pounding, and ran towards the blinding crack. Shadows tore at them, the figure's laughter echoing in the night like a cruel taunt. As they leapt toward the light, Jenna felt a sharp tug at her soul, the shadows stretching, clawing for everything she was. "No. I want to let you take me," she screamed, holding on to her companions with newfound strength, but the darkness wrapped around her heart, and the ceaseless whispers now taunted her with unnamed fears. Just as they dove into the shimmering crack, the world around them shattered, and a blinding flash engulfed them. As reality twisted and reformed, Jenna felt a sudden weightlessness, a moment of hope. But the lingering dread lurked, whispering insidiously, "You still don't know which way is the right one." Where would they land? What awaited them on the other side? They landed with a thud on cold, hard ground. A wave of dizziness washed over Jenna, her vision swimming momentarily. The overwhelming light faded, replaced by a dim, eerie glow that illuminated their surroundings in sickly shades of green and gray. She blinked, struggling to get a grip on her new environment. The air hung heavy, filled with an unsettling silence. Jenna glanced around, her heart racing. They were in a twisted hallway, with walls warped and looming above them like giants ready to crash down. Strange symbols adorned the surfaces, pulsating and writhing as if alive. "Where are we?" the girl beside her whispered, her voice trembling. "I don't know," Jenna replied, her voice laced with uncertainty. "But we need to stay together. This place feels wrong." The boy, still clutching the lantern, shielded the flame with his body, pushing against the darkness surrounding them. "Look!" he shouted, pointing ahead. A faint flicker danced at the end of the corridor, just beyond the murky shadows. But as they drew closer, footsteps echoed from behind them, a heavy thud, 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 like a heartbeat in the dark. Panic surged once more. Jenna turned to the others. "We have to go, now." The shadows shifted, writhing as if in anticipation. The whispers returned, more insistent, coiling around them like a predator about to strike. "You can't escape your fears, you can't run from yourself, follow us." Jenna could feel the pressure building in her chest, the shadows beckoning with promises she didn't understand. A sudden burst of anger ignited within her. "No. We choose our path," she yelled, pushing against the encroaching darkness as they sprinted towards the flickering light. The light grew brighter, but as they reached it, Jenna faltered. It wasn't just a beacon, it was a door, an archway shimmering with energy, radiating warmth and hope. But success was bittersweet as Jenna paused, caught between desperation and dread. What lay beyond? Jenna! Move! The girl cried, grabbing her hand and pulling her through the threshold. They stumbled forward and landed in a lush meadow, the oppressive weight of the corridor vanishing in an instant. Vibrant colors exploded around them, blues and greens, flowers blooming like laughter echoing through the air. They looked at each other, relief flooding their senses. Did we make it? The boy asked, breathless with disbelief. But just as they began to hope, Jenna's heart dropped. The air began to shimmer, the shadows creeping in once more around the edges of their haven. The figure from before materialized with a cruel grin, the light around it twisting into shapes of dread. "Welcome to your home," it hissed, voice dripping with malice. "You think you've escaped? This is only the beginning. The deeper darkness seeks what you hide in your hearts." Horrified, Jenna stepped backward, instinctively searching for the others. "We're not afraid of you," she declared, but doubt crept in swiftly. What if they were overly confident? What if this paradise really was a facade? With a chilling laugh, the figure extended an ethereal hand. "You can't fight what you cannot see." Energy surged through Jenna, sparks of realization flickering in her mind. "We have to stand firm together," she shouted. "Remember the light. We won't let it die." The shadows lunged forward, swirling around them, but suddenly the earlier warmth enveloped Jenna, igniting sparks of hope within. "Hold on!" she yelled, and the others grabbed her hands, tightening their circle. "Well, then," the figure whispered ominously, "let us see how long your light lasts against the darkness." Inside the ground trembled, and once again, Jenna felt that familiar tug at her soul. "It's coming for what's left of us," she cried out, bracing as the shadows whipped around them like storm winds, howling with rage. As they became engulfed in the darkness once more, Jenna's thoughts were racing. What secrets were they hiding, and could they truly face them? With newfound resolve, Jenna shouted, "Together!" But just as they braced for the tumultuous storm, the world twisted again, leaving them spiraling into the abyss. A familiar whisper followed them into the dark: "You might not survive what awaited at the end of this descent." Would they truly confront their fears, or would they lose themselves in the depths of darkness? The plunge into the abyss was as disorienting as it was frightening. Jenna felt weightless for a moment, like she was drifting in an endless void. The cold squeezed at her, wrapping around her limbs like icy fingers, and a deep sense of dread clawed at her heart. Suddenly, they landed hard on a damp, muddy ground that sucked at their shoes like quicksand. They gasped for breath, each inhalation a struggle as they fought back the cold panic rising in their throats. Jenna quickly looked around. It was dark, the only light flickering weakly from the lantern in the boy's trembling hands. The surrounding landscape was a twisted nightmare. Gnarled trees, their branches bent into grotesque shapes, loomed ominously above. Mist curled around their legs like whispers of the past left to torment. What just happened? The girl breathed, looking lost, her eyes wide and glimmering with unshed tears. "I don't know," Jenna replied, her voice wavering. "But we can't stay here." A rustling came from beyond the trees, followed by soft, ghostly laughter that sent icy tendrils down Jenna's spine. "We need to move," the boy urged, his voice strained. But before they could take a step, the demonic figure loomed closer, its cruel laughter echoing through the mist, rattling through Jenna's bones like an ominous warning. "You shouldn't have come here," it taunted, its voice slithering through the shadows. "This place feeds on what you hide. Your secrets, your fears." "Shut up!" Jenna shouted back defiantly, even as her voice trembled. She could feel her heart pounding, adrenaline spiking through her body. "You can't take us." The specter only grinned wider, eyes gleaming like pieces of shattered glass. "But I already have. And soon, you will all see the darkest parts of yourselves." You'll wish you never came. Jenna's breath hitched. What could it mean? She stole a glance at her friends, their expressions filled with fear. The boy's hands trembled as he aimed the lantern toward the figure, illuminating its features: pale skin, and hollow eyes that seemed to see right through them. She took a deep breath. We can't let this darkness win. Together, we hold the light. Her words ignited a spark in them. The boy squeezed the lantern tighter, and the girl's face hardened with determination. But just as they began to move, the ground began to shake, as if the world itself was protesting against their defiance. Where do we go? The girl asked, panic seeping back into her voice. Anywhere but here. Jenna yelled, as shadows leaped forward, tendrils reaching out for them, hungry and relentless. With just a thought, they charged toward the thicket of trees. They ducked beneath twisted branches, slipping through mud and roots, desperate for escape. The mist tightened around them, muffling their sounds, but they pressed on, the lantern flickering in a dance of hope and fear. Suddenly, the laughter rose again, a cruel melody that filled the air, wrapping around them like a noose. You can run, but you cannot hide, the figure purred with malice, drawing ever closer, its presence suffocating. That in one reckless moment, the girl turned, and Jenna could see the conflict in her eyes, a battle between despair and hope. What if this is just a trick? What if we're meant to fail? No, Jenna shot back, feeling that fire ignite again. We will face it. We will break the illusion. Just as they turned a corner in the thicket, Jenna felt an icy grip on her shoulder, a small hand, clammy and cold. She spun around, heart racing, only to come face to face with a little girl in a tattered dress, her eyes dark pools of sadness. Please, the girl whimpered, don't leave us alone forever. Jenna's heart ached. How many are there? She whispered to herself. Terror melted into determination. Could they rescue not just themselves, but others caught in this nightmarish realm? Before she could respond, the world around them shifted violently, trees twisted, the ground quaked, and shadows closed in with a furious howl. The little girl's grip tightened, and Jenna felt the weight of their plight wash over her. Hold on! Jenna shouted, rallying her friends. We will find them. Together. But as the shadows lunged forward, Jenna couldn't shake the icy dread curling in her stomach. Would they really make it through this darkness? Would they save the lost souls trapped within? The echoes of the laughter grew louder, swallowed by the abyss, as they took their first trembling steps into a darkness that threatened to consume them all. What awaited them in the depths of despair? The answer loomed just out of sight. The shadows twisted like serpents, slithering closer, relentless in their pursuit of fear. Jenna's heart raced. She clenched the little girl's hand tight, her resolve crystal clear. We can't just run, we have to fight. The girl's eyes glimmered, fear mixing with a flicker of hope. But how? That lantern! Jenna shouted, glancing at the boy, who stood frozen, caught between shadows and light. We need to use it to push through. The boy nodded, snapping back into focus. He raised the lantern, its flame flaring brighter, casting golden light that illuminated their surroundings. It feels strong, he said, determination building in his voice. Good. Let us start moving again. Jenna shouted over the cacophony of whispers that threatened to overwhelm them. Wasting no time, they forged ahead, pressing through the encroaching mist and entangling vines, the lantern leading the way like a tiny sun in the overwhelming dark. As they pushed deeper into the daylit mist, they could hear the laughter turning into distorted cries. You can't escape. You are tethered to your fears. No. Jenna shouted, her voice firm, echoing her strength. It's our light that binds us together. We're not afraid of you. The shadows seemed to recoil momentarily, the cries turning into hisses. The ground vibrated beneath them, shifting as dark figures twisted in agony, shrieking at their refusal to submit. For every step they took, the shadows twisted away from the lantern, an eerie sense of power pulsating from Jenna's heart. Keep going. She urged, adrenaline pulsing through her veins. We're getting stronger. Just then, a more substantial shadow lunged toward them, a wall of darkness that seemed to pulse with raw memories. It surged forward, a howling vortex aiming to swallow them whole. In that moment, Jenna's breath caught, and the doubts threatened to creep back into her mind. Fighting against it, she shouted, "Stand strong." Remembering her past, she held on to every joyful moment: her mother's laugh, her sister's hug, the thrill of summer spent at the lake. Those thoughts exploded in her mind, filling the spaces with light. "Together now," she commanded, rallying her allies. They formed a tight circle again, hearts beating as one. On three. 1, 2, 3. They stepped forward, the lantern bursting with a brilliant blaze of light that swallowed the shadow whole, casting away the encroaching darkness. The scream it let out was piercing, an echo of lost laughter that faded into the ether. "Keep moving," the boy shouted, voice full of conviction. The light from the lantern pulsed, illuminating their way through the lashing darkness. Shadows dissolved around them like mist under the sun, retreating until only the distant howls remained, a haunting reminder of what they faced. Soon, they burst through the foliage into a clearing bathed in moonlight, an ethereal landscape filled with flowers blooming in vivid colors. "We made it," the girl gasped, awe shining in her eyes, but Jenna's heart tightened. This isn't over. The shadows still lingered at the edges of the clearing, waiting. And the figure from before appeared at the edge, smirking. "You think this is freedom?" it taunted, stepping forward. "Even here, your fears can find you." "No," Jenna shouted, pushing her chest out as she faced it. "We've faced the darkness and we won." A low growl rumbled in response, the air pulsing with its intensity. "You will face darkness again. It's woven into your very essence to bear it is to grow." She felt a tightness in her chest, but with a swift inhale, she ground her feet into the earth, wrapping herself in the memories she cherished. "You're wrong. We will keep fighting, keep pushing away the darkness that tries to make us give in." "I am eternal, child," the figure sneered, darkness curling threateningly from its fingertips. "You cannot escape the cycle. Join us, embrace your past." "No," the boy shouted, raising the lantern. "Together, we fight this." As they held hands, Jenna felt a spark ignite within them, the memories flooding her consciousness, and suddenly they were stronger. The hope surged up, and with one powerful push, they screamed, "We are not afraid." Light exploded around them, blinding even the figure. Shadows twisted among themselves, shrieking as hope surged, and Jenna led the charge, pushing forward with all her might. Light enveloped them like a blanket, warmth blossoming as they pressed on. The darkness howled in fury but began to shatter, the very foundation of its existence crumbling as they surged forth. With one final thrust of their collective will, the shadows broke apart into stars, scattering across the heavens in a brilliant dance of light, and there they stood, breathless, together under a star-studded sky, free at last from the chains of their fears. The little girl hugged them both tight, tears of joy spilling from her eyes. "Thank you for not leaving me." With a lump in her throat, Jenna smiled, feeling lighter than she had in days. "You'll never be alone as long as we're together." The boy grinned widely, looking up at the stars. "So, what now?" he asked, full of promise. "Now," Jenna replied, a new sense of adventure alighting in her heart, "we choose our path, and we live without fear." And as they walked together under the newly freed stars, they knew every step forward was a step toward hope, together, forever unyielding against the darkness. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to help feed the algorithm. And don't forget to flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. Instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who absolutely need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to show your support.